Good morning everyone, welcome to my channel. So today's video is a mix of quite a few things. I've got some retreat announcements to make, I've got some product reviews, and what else have I got? Oh, some projects that are rattling around in the back of my head that I want to do early next year. So yeah, I've just been piling up things at the end of my table and looked at that pile and thought, you know what, I've got enough to come and sit down and do a bit of a update with you. So the first thing on my list is Susanna from Vintage Blend Studios has announced her retreat for next year. It was tenuous as whether I was going to make it because there could have been a pinball event that would have interfered with my creative gallivanting. But it is not going to be happening when Susanna's retreat is on. So very excited about that. I tell you, as soon as Gaz mentioned the dates, I was like, beauty, I'm off. And I shot a quick message to Susanna and said, I'm coming. I'm even bringing Marianne, and she's officially retired. And she's my best mate. She's the crocheter. And she is going to be coming as well. So we're very excited to have our first creative road trip together. So details of Susanna's retreat. Now Susanna this time is offering 2 projects, which is super cool. She has created a bunny called Peekaboo. Now I've got the PDF version of him because he's in print at the moment. She's printing this little guy onto a base, and then in the kit you get, if you choose Peekaboo Bunny, you get a beautiful piece of vintage fabric that's like a watercolor scene with a gentleman in the distance walking down a path with a big tree, and it's just would make a beautiful garden scene. Sort of reminds me a little bit of Down the Garden Path, where we created lots of elements in a garden type scene, and Bunny's in the foreground looking back at that. So that's project 1, Peekaboo Bunny. Or you can pick Susanna's sewing basket. Now, earlier in the year, Susanna created these 2 images. This one she's already released and has filmed and stitched on her channel. This one is a collection of vintage goodies that she has in her studio, which she sketched and has embellished. I haven't had a chance to do mine yet, but I sort of have had an idea rattling around for a little bit. So I have cooled my heels so that I could wait for this one to be brought into the fray, because they're a bit of a pigeon pair. So my plan is to incorporate all of them. So I'm not sure how I'm going to do it yet, but I will be deconstructing everything and reconstructing it into something. I'm still percolating on a few ideas. Susanna's vision for Peekaboo Bunny is in nature, looking at a floral scene and the garden scene. I'm thinking about bringing him into the craft room, and he's having a little peek at what's happening behind him. Whether he comes from the back, looking over it all, or he comes from the side, looking like everything's behind him, I'm not sure. But I'll definitely be doing elements from these. This basket for sure, I've got some ideas for that. Probably muck around with the teacup. Then there's these little bits that I could bring out so we could play with the buttons. That's gem to do something on that. And then when you go into this piece, I've got a sewing machine, we've got a container of threads, and then some floral elements. So yeah, can't wait. Second teacup. So that's the plans for the panels and the bunny for me. So I look forward to catching up with anyone who pops along to Susanna's retreat. The details will be below for you to go and book your ticket. And she's just taking deposits at the moment. I think the final payment will be due in a month or so's time. So it's just a deposit. So that's Susanna's retreat. Can't wait. Oh, the sewing basket panel, did I say? I can't remember already. The sewing basket panel, as this has already been released, it's actually on her website now. I think she's got it on sale for $20. So a really good buy for a base to start creating on. Like, Thanks, Susanna. Awesome. So that is a up and coming project. I will film it as I do it. So for those of you who unfortunately can't get to us in Australia, Ballarat, and join in on the fun, you'll be able to get your hands on these pieces after the retreat. So as soon as Susanna finishes her retreats, the bases, she pops up on a website, and you know, everyone can get them for those who can't travel. So that's the plan for a 2026 project, which I would need to start pretty much ASAP. So I can't wait to play with that. That's the first announcement. In addition, Susanna sent me, I think I've already shown you these on the channel. She's currently working through a selection of once a month elements to be stitched and collaged, and she's putting them on a big tablecloth. I haven't had a chance to play with it yet, but she sent me the little kits of fabrics and the printed pieces. Now she's releasing them on her website 3 at a time. I think it's 3, or is it 4? I think it's 3. And as soon as those 3 months are done, you can then buy them singly. So for example, if the lavender catches your eye, but you're not interested in the 2 that were with it, you can then just hold your horses and order just the lavender. So just keep an eye on a website as these roll through. As I said, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them yet, but I love the fact that Susanna's choices are here. I don't have to think too hard, and they're just fantastic little pops of bases to get you going, and then the actual images themselves. Now, it's quite possible that some of these might end up in the sewing room. Who knows? Who knows? Too many ideas, not enough time. Isn't that the way that this slow stitch world goes? So they're just a reminder that they are available on her site. Now, my retreat is also up on my website. Now, it's been up there for a little while. I haven't officially done an official announcement, and I don't think I will, because, to be honest, I've only got a couple tickets left. I did an email out to everyone who has attended previous retreats, so early birds, and I've been overwhelmed by the response. So I'm just so thankful, guys, that you guys want to hang with me and play and stitch. So I thought I'd just mention it briefly. We're going to be doing, at Hervey Bay only, a ocean-inspired beach slash, you're on the Fraser Coast, for goodness sakes. You're surrounded by some of the most pristine, beautiful sand island and oceans and nature, and, well, what can I say about the fabric shops? Like, it's just, I'm very, very spoilt. I'm very proud of my Fraser Coast. So the theme for this up and coming retreat is going to be the beach and ocean life and everything above. Now, this project I did with everyone on my channel some time back, and I thoroughly loved it. So I'm going to do a similar thing, but what we're going to be doing, and I haven't made the sample yet, I've been cooling my heels. I want to do it when I get back next year from my holiday. Otherwise I'll end up stitching it all now, and what are we, November, and I just won't remember the detail that I did come July next year. So cool the heels, girl, just chill out. But it'll be based on this technique, putting in lots of bits of fabrics and laces and building up texture and then creating some form of scene in it. The actual project now, oh my gosh, guys, I have a notebook of ideas, and I've gone from wall hangings to bags to, oh, there's so much stuff. And I percolate the idea, I write it all down, and then I let it sit for 2 weeks. And if I'm still enthusiastic about it, it's the project. And most of them I sort of work through in my mind, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's done. So what's next? But I have kept coming back to this one project out of the little list. So that's what we're going to be doing. Now, as I said, I haven't made it yet. I'm just waiting. It is going to be my Japanese inspired rice bag caddy. I just think it's going to be perfect. We have a 4-day retreat, so it'll be a side per day. So you'll get as much as you can done, and then you'll move on the next day to the next scene and the next scene. So you can sort of guess where I'm heading with this. The first side will be at the beach, getting to the beach. The next side will be starting to drop into the water. And we will be working on some of the critters that you will find. There's no critters in the ocean. That's the wrong word. So there'll be fish. Then the next side will be this jellyfish that, I've got this jellyfish I painted years ago. And I've just always wanted to stitch it. Now, when I painted it, it was in watercolours and it was at least A4 and a bit in size. So it's going to be a great challenge for me to get it down to just, a small floating gorgeous jellyfish. And then the final panel will be the bottom of the ocean. So we get to play with the sand and coral and still bringing us down to the watery bottom. So that's the project. It'll be rolled out dates-wise in July the 6th to the 9th. So pop over to the website if you're interested. I'm just taking deposit at the moment, but all the details are there. I have changed my venue. I've found a place on the Esplanade, so we will be able to sit at big glass windows, looking at the ocean, stitching, and I've hired the biggest room they have because we're going to be having numerous pop-up shops. So Diane's going to be there with her gorgeous work. Val, my mate, is going to be there with all of her denim bags that she does beautiful machine embroidery on. Marianne is going to be there with a pop-up Christmas crocheting shop. She's been busy making little things to hang on zipper charms, elements to stitch onto things, some more critters, and these gorgeous containers to put things in. That's if Vanessa doesn't stop ordering more things. Vanessa, back away from the crocheting girl. Vanessa's just got onto a run of purchasing bits and pieces, but it's actually been very helpful because Vanessa's given Marianne a bit of an overall brief, and then Marianne's drilled in and created little flowers and mushrooms and things like that. So it's been great just to sort of do some samples, and Vanessa's been our patsy. But now she needs to make some for my pop-up shop. So that's the story with my retreat. Now, something different at the end of my retreat, I'm having a 5th day. It's not part of the stitching scenario. It's an optional extra. It too is also on my website. I've been chatting to a company that does tours, a bus tour to Fraser Island. So for those of you that want to extend your stay, we'll all be jumping on a 4-wheel drive bus and doing a tour of the beautiful Fraser Island, Agari. So there'll be a barge to take us across in the morning, and then there's a picnic lunch, and we burn rubber all over the island. It's going to be an absolute hoot. It's not compulsory, and not everyone that so far has taken up the option. It's just there as just something to do. Considering that you come all this way to hang out with me for 4 days, I figured we might as well do something on the 5th day that's just something a little bit different, a bit touristy. So that's the plans. Now, the tickets for the bus, you'll see that it's 0 price point. It's not free. This is being handled by an outside company. So what I'm doing at the moment is just getting numbers. And then as soon as I get the numbers, the company will sharpen the pencil, especially if we fill a coach, which we nearly have. We will get a hot deal, at which time I will make the adjustment on the website of what the price will be for the day, and you'll then get a request for payment if you've already booked that particular activity. So that's the stories with retreats. We have an action-packed next year with Susanna's retreat and then my retreat. So as I said, I'm going to Susanna's coming to mine, so it's just going to be an absolute hoot. What else did I want to say about all of that? in addition, some additional travel activities. I'm going also in April to Melbourne to see the big Melbourne Quilt Show. Now, I've never been to that, and I watch all the videos from all the YouTube girls when they go down to Melbourne and see the show. So I'll be catching up with my bestie, Dawn. Now, Dawn's channel is by her name, Dawn Meldrum. You know her work. She's super, super talented. So Dawn and Dawn's best friend, Margaret, we went to Japan together. So I plan to spend a bit of time with Margaret because she's just an absolute hoot. And I'm going to catch up with Willie. And yeah, so we're in the process of working out our travel plans, but we're definitely going to the quilt show. That was enough reason to get on a plane as well. And then I'll be hanging out with Dawn and catching up with Margaret and seeing what other activities we get up to. And Willie too. You better be there too, Willie. We better hang. All right, I think that's it. Oh, also travel back to Susanna's retreat. As part of Susanna's retreat, she's taking us out to a little country town near Ballarat, which has the most fantastic French shop. So this is the shop you saw in a video where I purchased these two pieces of fabric. So I just wanted to mention that, as you're not just sitting and stitching, because when you do a Susanna and a Corrine retreat, we are very easily distracted and we go off on all sorts of adventures. So I just thought I'd mention that because Susanna has planned some lovely activities out there. And I can't wait. I'm so pleased I'm going. To think that pinball could have interfered. My goodness, how is that possible? So back to my little list of things. I've mentioned Susanna's retreat, my retreat, the Melbourne Quilt Show. We might organise somewhere at the Melbourne Quilt Show on a time where we could catch up if anyone's going and wants to say hi. I know when the girls went last year, there was a cafe that I saw on their video. I thought maybe that's somewhere prior to the show we could meet up and say hello for anyone who wants to, drop in and catch up. So what else have I got on my list? The big travel news too. Oh, gosh, lucky girl, I tell you. I think I did mention it in a video ages ago, but Gaz and I are hitting the road again. We're going to Italy. So you may have heard Rachel mention that she has a friend and a husband coming to visit her in Italy. That's me. I can't wait. I cannot wait. So packing my bags, I'm stressing out already of what I take to stitch. Like when you leave your craft room and you want to have least amount in your suitcase as possible so you can make some purchases. So what do you take to stitch? As I was showing you those little packs of flowers with fabrics of Susanna's, I was actually in the back of my mind thinking, well, that would be good. It'd just give me a kick-off point, something to stitch, elements I could use in a future project. So maybe I throw in, these little pieces. But anyway, we'll see. Oh, gosh, too many ideas. So because I'm going away middle of December to the middle of January, I have been so busy filming, guys. I have been punching out the videos. So the Christmas runner video is finished, 12 videos right up to Christmas Eve. I think you guys are up to video 3 or 4. So that is finished. Yay. Absolutely love it. Very, very happy. Hours and hours of work. And I have been really busy in the Mouse Chateau. Oh my goodness. I have made a garden shop. I have made a Christmas shop. I've made a bread and cheese shop. I've finished Skeeter's bedroom. I'm now working on a wall of curiosities. I've made a painting art station. Oh my goodness. Those videos come out every 2 weeks on a Monday. And they are now right up to the end of January. And the way it's going, I'm flying through into February. So that's such a load off the mind because literally every video is at least 4 days work. At least. You wait till you see what's coming. It has been an absolute hoot. absolute hoot. So don't fret, there's lots of videos coming. And I've got additional little projects in amongst all of that. So December, January, there's all sorts of things happening. And this is one of them. I went looking for things that I hadn't completed. I've got a bit of a smallish stash. It's not too bad. I'm a bit of a must get it finished type of kid, as you may have noticed. And I had started a red work journal and I pulled it out. I had everything in a container. It's sitting just off from me here. And I said, right, just finish it. This started back in COVID and so I ended up deconstructing pretty much the whole thing that I had started and put it together as a completed piece. So really, really pleased with it. You may recognise, if you've been with me for a little while, you would have seen me start this. And then I think I did a couple videos. It is in a playlist. So if you did want to catch up with this project, I'll link the playlist below so you can watch where I started. So when the videos come up for the completion of this journal, yeah, you'll know, I guess, the journey that it was. But it's so good to have it done. Oh my goodness, absolutely love it. It's got a real vintage sewing theme. So it's the crossover from when I was making journals out of paper into slow stitch. So there's a bit of a Anne Brooks feel about it. That was sort of what got my mind spinning, and I quickly dragged myself back into fabrics, and the journal making element with paper is in here. So there's pockets with fabric elements and paper elements is what I'm trying to say. So that is coming up in the filming and is done. There is, actually, I'll grab the box. In the process of completing that project for you guys, in there was these 2 stitched pieces. See, this is the box that everything was in. It's a French general piece. I had these 2 already stitched. I did them, gosh, nearly 2 years ago. And I was like, what am I going to do with them now? Because these were going to be the cover for the journal, but I just changed my mind. So I had these gorgeous pieces just sitting there ready to go. And this one is going to be a pouch, I think, at the moment. So yeah, stay tuned. Yet to decide what I do with this, but at the moment I've put some fabric on the back, trimmed it with some of the scraps, and I'm thinking it's going to be just a handy little pouch for me to take. But who knows, maybe it flips into a journal down the track, I don't know. So that's coming up in the coming weeks as another video series, finishing it off. Now, some purchases. Recently, I went to a local market. It was actually a car show, and they had a boot sale as well as a swap meet, so you could go and buy a diff, you could buy a radiator, but in amongst it were stalls selling vintage stuff. So I found a couple things, not a lot, but I did find 2 pieces of, I believe they call this chicken scratch. So that one, and that one. It's the first time I've seen that. I remember doing this as a kid in home economics, learning cross stitch, but I do not know where those pieces have got to. But I found those. They were $5 each, which I think is a fair price. Oh, that one was $7, that one was $5, and then other one didn't have a price, so she did them for $5 each. Actually, I think it was 12 for the whole lot, to be honest. So not sure what I'll use them for. Probably don't need them, but they're there for who knows what. Now, I had another gift of crocheting come my way. So a dear friend, Helen came to my Harvey Bay retreat not last year, the year before. She's just gorgeous. She's a New Zealand-based lady, but she grew up and still has a property with family at Maryborough. So she's always sort of crossing the Tasman. Is it the Tasman? No. What's the piece of water between us and New Zealand? The Pacific Ocean, of course. She's was over and helping out some family friends that were clearing out a home and sort of, putting up bits and pieces for sale. And these elements, the family felt that they were, too damaged, too old, too non-interesting for sale. So they've been gifted to me. I've given them all a really good soak and clean, and there's all sorts in here. And I just thought I'd quickly show you. And these ones I'm going to actually use in my work, not like the Joy collection. I sort of have a bit of an emotional attachment to the Joy collection, so they are all safe. And just an update on the Joy collection, if you don't know what I'm talking about. I inherited through Joy's son. Joy and Ted have since passed. And Gavin, the only son, was like, what do I do with all this crocheting and embroidery? Corrine, it's yours. Now, he has nieces who are just of the age where it's not their thing. But I know it will be one day, possibly. So what I've done is the Joy collection has been packaged up in a container. And I've written a letter in the container that when I kick the bucket, whoever is cleaning out my estate, Lord help them is all I can say, they will open that box and there's a letter in there with the details of Gavin's niece and nephew. Nieces, sorry. And it can then go back to their family, and maybe the girls will be, interested in doing what they're doing. So they're all still young. They're in their 20s to early 30s, or raising families, you've got to have time to do all this stuff. So that's what's happening with the Joy collection. Now, Margaret's friend's mum's collection, or as an aunt, not Margaret, Helen, sorry, Helen, that's going to be used. So it dropped in my lap perfectly because I need some of these little elements to add to the seascape. Where's that panel? When I do my ocean, I have little bits of crocheting popping through the waves and sort of giving the rolling wave look. So these will come in so handy as pieces that I can put into the kits for the girls to play with. So that's the first one. How sandy is that? Just gorgeous. So I'll do a quick little flip through. Look at that. All those beautiful crocheted flowers in Joy's that I was like, oh, I'd love to add them to something, but, I couldn't because I just can't. Look, I have one here, and it's great. Helen, I said to Helen at the time, there's no emotional attachment to this, so choppy. We can have a play, unless, of course, there's something really special in here that, oh, goodness me, aren't they just gorgeous? These will be so good. I can share these with the girls at the retreat. This lady had a lovely hand that made these. Look at that, working in a little pop of colour. I love it when they're a little bit different. It's like you see so many at thrift stores and around the place that are the same, but when you come across someone that's just got a flair for colour use, it's really exciting. So there's some little doilies. I haven't ironed them because I'm a bit slack like that. So there's some gorgeous little doilies. Oh, this one's cute. Is it this one? It's got the pussycat? No, this is just a little cutie. Aren't they pretty? I do have the camera. Look at the holes in it. See, holes means I can make another hole. Very well used. They're thin. They're gorgeous. Little one. I'm whipping through these. See, there's no emotional attachment. That's interesting, isn't it? Isn't that gorgeous? You don't often see orange. What's this one? Well, upside down. There we go. See, this lady was unique in her stitching. Like, really did play a little. Is that the right way? It's a long, thin one. Look, there's a little hole. Why do the holes in these pieces get us just as excited as the beautiful work? Isn't this pretty? This is one of my favourites. Look at that. Is it up the right way? No? Oh, gosh. There you go. Isn't that pretty? Very pretty. And I love her crocheting. We're admiring the edge on this one. She's created like a lattice by lifting up these little chains and then creating this bridge-like effect and then scooting across the top of them. I thought that was a very, very different edge. I hadn't seen that before. There's nearly a little bit of an Art Deco feel to this lady's choice of pieces, which is really cool. I just think that's gorgeous. Imagine that as a closure for a journal. Like, it's got that point of which you can attach and wrap. Just beautiful. So there's definitely a few gems in here and some great fabric too. Some of them are tablecloths. Look at this. I thought this was unique. I've never seen that. Now, it looks like she's had the classic design, but then she's done this stitching to bring this black in. Isn't that unusual? She's a very good crocheter, this girl. So that one, you know, when you think you've got no crocheting around you at all, and then suddenly it just all comes. It's crazy. I was getting really low and I'm thinking, well, that's probably the end of the industry. Maybe every doily out there has found a home. It would seem not. Look at the edge on that. Just so pretty. We were trying to work out what this was. It's like, is that a tree with the top? And then there's this top repeated here, but it now is part of this tubular structure with the floral element here. I don't know. If anyone can tell us what that is, am I missing something? We were like, well, does it go like that? Is it? I don't know. We'll be interested to see the mystery doily in the comments. Tell me what you think. And look at this bunny. Look at him. Isn't he just adorable? And it's a baby's. We're thinking cushion. There's little press studs here to put a little baby's cushion in. Is that what it's for? Or do you put baby's clothes in it? I don't know. If anyone knows the exact use, we guessed it's a little pillow slip to go over a baby's baby cushion. This was our theory. So let us know if you think we're right on the baby cushion cover. It's very cute. And another one of these, very similar. Is it unusual? Colour combinations. Not my usual, but I do occasionally just feel like playing with orange, red and yellow. And it's, yeah, beautiful. So it's good to have some bits. I pulled out 3 little pieces a second ago that I'll come back to because I just think they're gorgeous. And the other favourite, some itty bitty ones with a nice bright edge. Great to put in little needle books and little projects. Just cute, just cute. She wasn't afraid to use black, was she? Look, little black French knots. Look at these little red. See, this girl was bold. Look at that. Okay, And look, I've got a bird set. Little bluebird. Aren't you gorgeous? And it's lovely when you get the 3 pieces and it's a little set. Look at that piece. It's quite large. It's got quite a few little bluebirds on that. So there you go. Another little stash of fantastic creative doilies. And these, I think, are just beautiful. They are on the finest linen and they're cross stitch. How gorgeous is that? I can't even imagine doing that. Just and well used. It is so fine, that linen, like you can see my fingers through it. Let me bring it up to the camera so you can see the itty bitty. Look at the red one, how tiny those stitches are. I just think they're gorgeous. And that's a slightly bigger one. Little chain stitch. So very much a favourite. Okay, what else did I want to show you? I picked up this last week. Was down at the local service station, and next to that is a little thrift store. It's like a little community one here at Burham Heads, and I always have a little look, and look what I found. It was $3, brand new. Someone has created the caddy inside a laid out panel. So we've got 3 little pockets here, and we've got a pouch here. Now, as you know, I'm a major fan of Jennifer Clouston's sewing caddy. It's a fantastic pattern, and the piece that you make is just so handy because it too has a drawstring, but there's zipper pouches, and it's just a beautiful slow stitched project to do. And I've made a few of them now. And when I saw this, I'm like, oh, this is a great base. So what I'm going to do in a future project is I'm going to deconstruct this a little bit and slow stitch it up a little bit because it's a little bit new. It's a little bit black, white, crisp for me. So what I'm going to do first, and this is sort of why I wanted to film this video, is I really want to get cracking on this next, is I want to tea dye it first just to push back the white. And I want to get rid of these. They should come out reasonably easy. They're probably pinched in there by some apparatus. I just don't want that sort of finish. I'd rather a button and, you know, rustic it up a little bit. So what I'm going to do with this is just slow stitch it up a little, theme it up a little, and it'll be great because it's a lot bigger than the Jennifer one that I usually make. Having said that, I did make a bigger one, but not as big as this. And I know it works as a project keeper for me. So I can't wait to get stitching on that. If you wanted to stitch along with me, grab Jennifer's pattern from her website, and you would definitely be able to have a play with this concept using Jennifer's pattern, and then, yeah, have one yourself. So I was stoked. I thought, this is great. I don't have to cut fabric. I don't have to, you know, start from scratch. I can deconstruct and have a play. So there'll be a bit of unpicking, a bit of tea dyeing and toile. Like, how wrong can you go? Not at all. Can't wait. So that's a future project. Whether you see that December, it's possibly January, but that's on my next to-do list. So what else? Oh, yes. Now, remember, I have finished my hexagon quilt. You would have watched the video on Monday of my journey of the hexagon quilt is complete. I'm just so pleased with it. Absolutely love it. Will I do another one? Oh, I don't know. It really did put a lot of tension on my hands, pinching those hexagons together and doing all of that stitching, but I did love doing it. Now, in the filming of that, you would have heard me go, I've just ordered some Dresden plates from eBay and they're coming from America. Guess what arrived? So I am busting to show you these because then they need to go in to be washed, and then I can start planning my next quilt. And this is potentially numerous other projects as well. So what I have here are some gorgeous feed sack fabrics. Now, these were advertised on eBay as incompleted Dresden plate sets, 2 sets. I found the bright one first, and then I found this softer, more muted tones. I've got it on a plate. Oh, Gaz was so funny. He says, what have you ordered now? You've bought plates from America? And I think, Susanna, you were here. And I said, yeah, I've got 21 Dresden plates and then another 20 Dresden plates coming. And he's like, what do we need plates for? I said, well, you can always use plates. You know, you have a dinner party, you pull out the plates. He goes, we don't need plates. And I said, yeah, but they're so pretty. They're coming. There'll be boxes of these plates coming. And he just rolled his eyes. We were cacking ourselves laughing. I'm sure you were here when that went down, Susanna. So in comes the parcel and he goes, oh, what have you ordered now? And I said, oh, it's the Dresden plates. And he's holding this satchel and he's like, oh, aren't we nasty? So anyway, my theory is to get feed sack fabrics in a quilt made by someone is very expensive now. And they are just going up, up, and up, up, up. I've watched them for over a year. I didn't really find anything in America that was in my budget. And I thought, you know, unless you see them too, you run the risk of it arrives and you don't like it. So it dawned on me that if I kept my eyes open for incompleted quilt blocks, maybe I'll find something. Now, this first lot popped up and it was $50 US. So by the time it got to me converted, it was around that $100 price point, which I thought that's pretty good for feed sack fabric. Now I'm going to say, as I look through these, I don't think they're all feed sack fabrics, but I'm not an expert. I know there are books out there showing the feed sack fabric range, like an encyclopedia. But what I do like is definitely some of them in there, and I'll just do a quick flip through and see and show you what they look like. Now, if I'm sus on any, that would be one. In my mind, I thought they were more small, dainty prints. I'm a bit sus on that, but I'm not an expert. I don't know. So you're probably wondering, what are you going to do with these girls? Well, once they're washed, I'm going to sort them and I'm going to turn them into blocks to make a quilt and or other projects. They're just going to be in my stash to play with as some vintage fabrics ready to go. Now, the quilt idea I have is the center, instead of just doing a circle, I'm thinking of doing a hexagon flower. So I get to play with hexagons in a smaller way. And then mounting this block on to 4 squares of fabric. So I've been on Pinterest and collected a heap of photos of Dresden plates that I just love. So that's sort of what I'm floating around in my mind. I'm not sure when this will actually happen. I'm still at the stage of wash the fabrics, think about them, and see, you know, what comes of it all. Now, that what I love, like, look at this. That's been unpicked from something. That still has the seam from where this piece of cloth was taken. Look at that one. So I just think they're beautiful. This is the bright one and the other one's the more muted one. So I guess if you're out there and you've got a love of feed sack fabrics, have a look for incompleted quilt blocks. See, they're all different sizes. What's going to be fun, isn't it? Look at this one. It's got little doggies on the fabric and as a seam where she's pieced together. Wish I knew the story. See, that's a smaller one again. So they're all different sizes. I just think they're beautiful. And to be honest, I don't really want to make Dresden plate blocks. I know they're easy. I've watched plenty of videos and they come together really well. But let's just take something that someone else has not completed and let's complete it. I thought that one's beautiful. I think it's because it's all patterns, to be honest. When I look at that one, that doesn't really do much for me, but that one does. Even though that fabric is not my favourite, that's not my favourite, but together, I just think that's pretty. Maybe I need to not rule out unpicking and rejoining. I don't know. Maybe the plain fabrics give you a chance to take a breath. I don't know. Oh, it's just gorgeous. There's a lot of reproduction fabrics out there now. So I'm quietly confident that I'll be able to match in something. Maybe the hexagon in the center. This is where I really wanted to talk to you guys about this and get it out of my head so that I potentially might kickstart myself along, because I've verbalized, very good at doing that, verbalized the action plan. But washing them first, very gently. But I don't know, maybe they have been washed already, because look how frayed they are. Look at that, the join. And a join. See, that's not feed sack. I think someone's probably had some feed sacks, but then they've had scraps. Like, these feel like they're fabrics from the 70s. Everything's so thin. So I think they're upcycled clothing scraps is what I think this one is. The other one I think's different. If you're recognising fabrics here, let me know what you think. So the bright one and the muted one. I think this is more like, look at this yellow one here. It has a join there and a join there. She's a wonky girl. So my theory is I will needle turn that down and stabilise these really thin fabrics onto a back. It will be fun finding elements to join it, you know, the fabrics to join it. I have a very small collection of reproduction 1930s fabrics, but not a big collection. Look at these. Maybe I'll go down the gingham. I've picked up some packs of gingham in my travels as well, so I've got a little collection of those. I think half the fun is percolating on the ideas. Gosh, they're different sizes. Or are they? Or are they just a bit wonky? Maybe that's why this quilt never came together. It's just someone using scraps, you know. Cut and stitch, cut and stitch. Well, I'm happy to pick up the challenge. See, I don't think that's feed. This is definitely not all feed sack. I think the description was a little bit off there. Be interesting to see what you guys recognise, actually. So, last one. I think there was like 22 or 23. Some of them are just a little bit more pleasing to my eye than others, which I find is interesting considering it's a mishmash of fabric. Okay, this one would be that impulse. So it was funny. Susanna, I bought this, and then the next morning I went looking again and bought these. And I said to Susanna, I bought some more Dresden plates. And she's like, what do you mean you bought more Dresden plates? I said, well, while you're in the shower, I was unsupervised and I had another little look and I found another listing with another eBay seller and I couldn't help myself. And because they are like completely different colour palette and size, I thought these are so sweet. Oh, they're just, let me just get them rolling here for you. Isn't it just, oh, I love how I've run out of fabric, so I'll just pop those in. I just think that's so random and beautiful. Look, these to me, I think are feed sack. Let me know if you think, no, I don't think they are. Both sellers advertised them as if they were. Isn't that just beautiful? Oh my goodness. Imagine the little hexy flower and then float it on 2 pieces of fabric, 4 pieces of fabric. Oh, look at that. Can't wait to lay these out and see what I've got. Oh, they're so delicate. Isn't that pretty? Isn't it interesting how people put together colour combinations? It's like that's a set there. That's a set there. And then this started happening. And then she's going, well, I don't quite have enough to keep going, so I'll do this, and then look, Mr. Random. I just love it. That's what I love about these old quilts, is looking into each one and going, oh, that's a random piece of fabric. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, imagine a piece that was just those tones. How gorgeous would that be? Be interesting to see when they're all spread out on the counter what I see colour-wise. Is there a quilt in here that's just those tones and then those tones? This will keep me busy for the next 5 years. Not to mention small projects where I use it. See, that's bigger again. Oh, they're all over the place, aren't they? Talk about a challenge. Oh, we're getting bright now. How pretty is that? Random. Now we're back into the oranges. Oh, she's even needle turned edge that. Oh, look at that. It's ready to go. She's done some stitching around that outer edge in prep. It's got to the next stage. Oh, look at this, the blue and the orange. Anyway, you've probably all gone to sleep by now. But I love them. I love them, I love them, I love them. And it was such a cost-effective way of getting some vintage pieces. Oh, I love chocolate coming in. Quite a challenge here, girl. That's, I can hear my grandmother saying, quite a challenge here, girl. There we go. So that's the Dresden plate challenge on a plate, just for Gaz's amusement. So they're off to the washing machine. Now, also, remember when I went to Newcastle, in one of the stores that we visited after my retreat. Hey, Fudgy. I picked up the Jen Kingswell quilt block wrap. So let me just go up a little bit. These are online to be purchased at all good quilt shops. This I thought was a fantastic way for me to store my quilt blocks and my next project when you cut and you need to piece things together. So what I'm thinking of doing is using this with this project. So not only will a quilt somehow emerge from all of this, but I'm thinking of embellishing this with some Dresden plates. The reason why is I'm a bit of a fan of black and white with brights and things. So what I thought I might do is there might be the odd plate that doesn't fit with a quilt. This will give me another opportunity to potentially do a piece that sits on the front and the back of my wrap. They are very fine, so I don't think I'm adding too much bulk to my piece. So if you guys have one of these, I know quite a few of you either owned it already because you're a Jen Kingswell fan. I'm thinking this in itself will be a great travel project that potentially I can create something or test some ideas on a wrap cover. And I'm thinking I can just stitch it straight onto there. It's like got a furry side and a coated fabric side here. So let me just put a pin in it. So it is making a hole and leaving a hole. So I would need to get a fixative for that, which is fine. That'll work. I can use a spray adhesive and things like that. Having said that, if this was here and another one was here, that would all connect it together, and I can slip stitch. This is fabric around this outer edge. I can slip stitch into that binding. No problem. So I can definitely attach it. So that's the plan for my Jen Kingswell Dresden plate embellished project, which might be the first thing I do as I explore my options with the Dresden plates. Now, two more things, and then I'll let you go. Online marketplace, I found two gorgeous paintings. These were listed in Hervey Bay, and it was $10 for the pair of them. They're oil paintings. I've done a little bit of research. They're not signed unless there's a signature hiding down in behind that frame, possibly. I'm yet to pop them out and give everything a good clean. I'm not sure if I will keep them in these frames. I'm a bit of a fan of artwork that's not in a frame. It's just the artwork, like someone's literally just painted it and it's yet to be in a frame. So Parisian scenes is what Google AI. I sort of felt that, like this one in particular, that mill could have been Amsterdam, but this felt like Paris. It's sort of, I don't know. So I Googled AI'd the pictures, and this style of imagery is definitely Parisian. It's a shame they're not signed by, Van Gogh, but they're not. See how the frame is cracked here? It's not holding together well. So, yeah, I just love them. I've got a wall of curiosities in my lounge room where I've got all of my random things I've collected for years and years and years are now sitting on two big timber shelves. So when I saw them, I thought they were just going to work beautifully in that space. So I thought I'd show you guys. So always keep your eyes out if you're looking for a little bit of artwork for a theme of a wall or something like that. $10 for the pair of them. Yeah, really cool. I thought they were, this big postcard size going by the picture. So I was absolutely chuffed when Sue turned up with them. My mate Sue lives in Hervey Bay, so I shot her a message and said, can you please get these for me? So she turned up for a roast dinner and said, what are you doing with these? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. I just like them. So, yeah, just thought I'd show you guys because, inspirational. Imagine that all stitched. Oh, they're just beautiful. Okay, now, last thing is this book. Now, as I'm filming all of these videos for you guys to watch while I'm off gallivanting, I've been binge watching Homeworthy. Now, it's a channel that goes into people's homes and shows their collections of not only furniture, textiles, knickknacks. As you walk through their home, often have done a restoration. They're in Britain and they're in America, and they're often artists or interior designers or fabric designers, or I haven't really come across movie stars or anything like that yet. It's really in the design world, and they're just, it's just inspirational. So Marianne and I have been binge watching these shows. And there was one lady's house. It was a Parisian apartment. It was very small. She's actually a lady from America, but due to her business, she goes back to France regularly. Now, her story is in this book, Sandra Sigmund. She has created a flower shop business in America that is based on the Parisian styling of flowers and the presentation of flowers. So when she was quite young, she was a figure skater and did a bit of time in Paris. I think she was in her 20s. Don't quote me on all that. I'm yet to read her story. In her 20s, hanging around for a period of time in the streets of Paris, and fell in love with the way they present their La Petite flower shops. And you know, I'm a bit of a fan of everything French. And she has actually then gone home to America and created a brand which not only sells the flowers like it's a floristry, but you can also pick up from her business bits and pieces that she's thrifted in Paris. So wheelbarrows and buckets and urns and, oh my goodness. So just beautiful. So she takes Homeworthy, the cameraman, into her apartment with her husband, and they talk about the space and how they've dressed the rooms, and it's sort of the home away from home. And then she published a book showcasing why she loves Paris. Look at the doors. And she's also, through this whole book, talks about the principles of design when doing a bunch, doing a bunch of flowers. Oh, look at the markets. So you're probably wondering, why has Corrine got this book? Well, I think this didn't help. Miss Skeeter in the French Chateau, she wanted a pop-up nursery, pop-up flower shop downstairs. So watching all of this, and it was percolating in my mind, I've created a pop-up shop sort of loosely based on what you would see in the streets of Paris, where you could just wander along the streets and pick up a plant or some bits and pieces, and lavender. You see that lavender there in that shot? Okay, I'll bring it up to the camera. See it there? I created that in a beautiful French themed urn in the chateau. So inspiration. So yeah, it was just like, seriously. The other thing I want to do next year is another still life. So I'm thinking along the lines of using this as my inspiration to create some interesting urn or vase or something slow stitched, and then coming out of it will be some gorgeous flowers. And this just is eye candy. Like, look at the nasturtiums. They're not even in flower, yet they're just beautiful. So, yeah, I just thought I'd show you the book. Look at that. Like, for a still life, some pots, the scissors, the twine. Look at the urn. Oh, and I love how it's turned at an angle and the handle's in the distance. Then there's all this business going on and a bit of that and a bit of this. And oh my goodness, guys, seriously, is it not eye candy? I know when I was thinking about my still life when the Roxy Girls first announced it, I had thought of doing a picnic table setting. So that's still floating around in my mind. I'd love to do another piece in a frame for my wall. I want to find a frame and then work backwards from the frame. I think that really helped me to finish my project because I had the frame. I thought that was very clever of the girls, sort of getting us that starting point of either a frame or the board or a mount. So I do have a mount, a canvas that I purchased thinking that I'd be using that, but ended up going to that massive frame. So yeah, 2026 is going to be another still life, and it's going to go on my wall somewhere. And this book, look at all these. Do they call them frogs? That's what I used to call them when I was a kid. Oasis. We used to say frog. Maybe that's just a Aussie country girls. Yeah, frogs, flower frogs. There you go. Look at them. Aren't they just works of art in themselves? Like, seriously. Look at the tray, guys. In the meadow, picking flowers, like living the dream, girl, living the dream. Walking back to your French chateau with some brush in your hands to create a beautiful display. Look at that. So, yeah, just thought I'd have to show you this book. Now, I have a second book coming, which I don't think I'm going to get till December. There was a second gentleman who has a chain of floristry stores in New York, I think it was. I'll show you the book another time when it arrives. And he does flash flowers. So he goes around New York and finds a dumpster or a phone booth or a bench that's just graffitied and looking very rustic and part of the environment it comes from, and then does these huge floral displays around it and photographs it. So, you know, when the flash mobs were turning up everywhere, look at that. And we just happen to have a wisteria in the background where they just turn up and dance. Well, he does flower flashes. So you'll be walking down a street every day and then you'll come to that same corner on the same phone booth and suddenly it's oozing with flowers that have popped up through the night, and there they are to be photographed. His book looks incredible. So I've got that one coming as well as my two floral inspirational. Look at that. Like just those little bits sitting on the table. Imagine that all stitched. Look at those. The lemons. I've got a beautiful piece of lemon printed fabric that I bought in Dallas that is burning a hole in the back of my head too. So, guys, I've got to revisit the still life project because thread painting is a passion for all of us. And to some level, you might be as full on as the Fleur Woods inspiration. You might be just bits and pieces of it just to add texture to your fabrics. I've got sitting there in the cupboard, and I often wonder, why did I buy a heap of vintage Sanderson? When am I ever going to use it? I've got to bring them out and use them because they're great flowers of size to stitch into. Just gorgeous. Look at that. Oh, love the shape she's got there, that angle. Just like finishes the frame of that mirror. See that shape? Oh, gorgeous. She's even written the recipe, so if you want to make that, there's the flowers. I'd hate to think how much that would cost to go get those flowers. In Australia, a lot of them are hothouse grown flowers, and look at the lilac colour. Milk pitcher, 1 3-inch frog, floral plutty, 7 purple lilac branches. I don't think I've ever seen lilac for sale around here. Oh my goodness. Living the dream. Like, look at this simple rose on the book next to the bird. Anyway, I'm having a Parisian moment, guys. Hello, look at you. Imagine that as a still life. We do a series of vases and then the flowers. Like, oh. Anyway, enough. I will never get anything done if I keep looking at books and not actually doing stitching. All right, I'm going to say goodbye. I think that's everything. I'm just glancing around my desk of inspiration and projects to do and news flashes and all right, I'm going to say goodbye. I've rambled on for an hour and 10 minutes, for goodness sakes. All right, look after yourselves. Have a great day, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.